Hey, it's your buddy Tim Shell back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And if you were with me yesterday, you remember I pulled this foxy lady and actually had no idea who she was. So I thought I would do a 5 or 10 minute champion spotlight and explain what I think of this champion, some of the builds that she's good in, some of the things that she does, and then some areas that I think that she'd be useful for an account. So let's check it out. All right, well, let's talk about Teumesia, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Teumesia, not really sure, but she is, and you can see here, a Skinwalker legendary champion, which is kind of nice since the Skinwalkers are kind of hurting. I mean, there's some decent champions here, but nothing really to write home. And Leoris would be a nice champion to pick up as well as a big damage dealer. But besides that, they don't have, I mean, Longbeard is sort of a allied attack, one hit wonder, and Brachus kind of does single target damage, and Cleopteryx, who knows what the hell she does. War Chief is a taunter, and Coronar is pretty good, but again, not super good, I guess. Norog has sort of the unstun stuff, and then their epics are just sort of fair. So it is nice that they're adding some depth and breadth to the Skinwalker faction. She's definitely going to make my Skinwalker faction team much better. But let me give you sort of an overview, kind of what I thought of when I put her together and started building her. Is she is a, first of all, she's a really good champion. I really like her, but I call her sort of the Swiss Army knife of champions. She can literally do almost anything. She's a crowd control champ. She's a debuffer. She's a turn meter specialist. She's a nuker. I mean, it's really hard to build her until you pick the lane you want to pick. So let me show you what I mean. So her A1 is just an A1. She can put a decreased defense down on it, which is kind of nice for bosses and stuff. Increases the damage with the books. Her A2 is she attacks all enemies and places the HP burn. Her whole kit revolves around this HP burn. So her placing this HP burn then does a couple of things that we'll see in a minute. But along with the HP burn, and this is a very hard-hitting skill, along with this HP burn, if your turn meter is over 50%, she'll stun you, and if your turn meter is under 50%, she puts a big version of the decreased speed on you for 3 turns. So, and then you get a 100% chance of making this happen on a 3-turn cooldown, which is really nice. So you get turn meter work, you get HP burn, and you get the decreased speed, I guess, as well. So this is sort of her main skill, and then from here, she does a damage increase by 40% for each active HP burn debuff, which up to 400%, which obviously makes her pretty interesting in Spider. And then she has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. You can buff that up. It's a 100% chance by 15%. Now, this is an interesting skill because it ignores all the boss's turn meter reduction penalties, because it's based on all of the HP burn she has up. So like on the Spiderling, she'll have 10 HP burns up, and she gets half of 15%. So 7.5, she gets like 75 reduction on the Spider turn meter, even at 25, which is really helpful. And then you can see all the other stuff. Her passive is pretty interesting. If anybody on your team gets frozen, she's got a 50% chance of, I wish they would let you book that up to maybe 75 or even give that a 100% chance. So you freeze somebody, she puts an HP burn and takes them out of the freeze. And for some reason they say this debuff cannot be blocked or removed. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, it's an HP burn. It's not super terrible, but it's not like a stun. Anyway, I don't really love this, but what is nice, I think even more importantly, is the second part, where if any ally or enemy is under an HP burn, which she does very well, then she is immune to all these terrible debuffs as well. So that's pretty nice. So let me show you what I did. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do with her, so I kind of tried to do everything. And what do I mean by that? Well, I tried to get speed, crit rate, crit damage, accuracy, and then sort of decent HP. So you can see nothing is great, but nothing is terrible either. And she does actually a really, really good bit of damage. And so let's take her into some areas that I think that she is really good in. Obviously, the first area is Spider 25. So let's do that. Now, the spider team I put her on is basically a suicide spider team, right? The idea is we're going to get all our damage out, and then the spider is going to eventually kill itself on the HP burn. Now, what makes it happen is her amazing turn meter decrease. So the spider never gets a chance to do her regen. So it's a total auto team. Everybody dies, I think, except one of the cold hearts. So, and it takes just under a minute. Now, I didn't need a whole lot of help. I had a pretty good spider team anyway, but it is kind of fun to see new spider teams run, and this one runs really well. I was not able to get her to solo things because I think to solo stuff you have to have lifesteal gear, and I didn't put her in lifesteal gear because I don't know. I just really didn't want to. So you can see all of the HP burns. We get 2 Heart Seekers out, and my 2 girls almost get the full. So there goes the turn meter, and then now the turn meter's so low that the spider never really gets a chance to do anything. So again, turn meter goes down, and then she's going to die here, and then they go after Cold Heart, and then they'll go after. Okay, yeah. I mean, everybody pretty much dies. But the spider, there's too many burns out, and the spider ends up going down. So it would be important to make sure that you can't nuke the spiders down. So you don't want your Kaimar to have a ton of damage or to have lots of AoE damage on your Cold Hearts as well, because basically you're just beating... you're allowing the spider to beat you before you die. So, yeah, so pretty good. I also put her on some Doom Tower teams as well because she was pretty helpful there. And, here, let's look at a couple of things. So I put her on my Fae team, my Dark Fae. Boy, what in the world? Come on, Doom Tower. So I'm at Dark Fae, what is she now, 40. And you can see here she is. Now, it's a manual run. I couldn't make this work on auto. Actually, it works sometimes on auto, but it's kind of not worth it. So I make sure to cycle my A1s at the very end, and then we'll see. Now I'm going to show you something interesting at the end of this run. So I have to auto it because I can't. Actually, I'll go ahead and let her finish. I think we'll be able to auto through our last. Okay. Gosh, Rotos, take your time, bud. We're not in any hurry. We're not in any hurry. Rotos will saunter over there and kill everybody. So, okay, so here's where I have to pretty much just auto my way through because I need all of my cooldowns up. This is where I don't understand how we're going to get to auto the Dark Fae, because when you meet your team has everything off a cooldown. And if you go in there with everything on cooldown, you're automatically going to get just nuked. So I'm not sure how that whole thing works. Yeah. You're dead. Oh, yeah, shit. I forgot. He comes back. But once I get the first round of of once I get the first round of my team's skills in, then it's all auto. But I'm not sure how to time it to make sure that I hit the Fey with the proper cooldowns all in place. Okay, so everybody's got turn meter more than 50%, right? So that means this should stun everybody except for him, which kind of stinks because I got great, but we'll kill him here. Okay, so now it'll be auto. And so it's a pretty easy auto run at this point. So Piedmont gets the decreased attack down. So she steals my Herndeg, which is no big deal because we will, when Rotos gets a turn, he's just going to take him out. And we'll get him back, and then we'll start doing damage to the Dark Fae. So it's not a hard run. It's just I can't figure out how exactly to do it on auto because I would say that's not true. I did it a few times on auto, and it worked. But I would say maybe 20% of the time it works, and the other 80% I hit the end boss without the right cooldowns up, and my team kills me. So, and I guess the answer is make your team squishier, and I could play with it. But I honestly, I mean, I'm not to the point where I need to. I have maxed out my Savage gear, and I need the extra stats from this lady's gear. I have plenty of room to get good Savage gear, and so I'll worry about that. So really, this beating this boss for me is all about just getting by the Doom Tower to get the rewards in Doom Tower, and obviously the fun avatars are always nice to have. Now, if you had to guess on a team with Herndeg and Rotos and Teumesia, who would do the most damage, right? Now, remember, I cycled through A1s quite a bit. And you would, I mean, when I put this in, I thought, okay, like my Tunisia is kind of built sort of mediocre in all categories, but she kind of does everything she needs to do, right? And my Rotos is built pretty darn well, for me at least. I think he's got, he doesn't have any sets on, but he's got like almost 300 crit damage, and yeah, so he hits pretty hard. And he obviously gets those double turns. But wait till you see the damage that Teumesia has done. And then I'll take a look at what her multipliers are. All right. There she goes. Okay. So down goes the Dark Fae. We get and look at that. Over 1 million does almost 100,000 more than Rotos. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So if you wanted to build her for damage, you certainly could. I needed her to obviously land her buffs and things like that, but I think that's pretty impressive because she's really besides her wave, and I didn't really use her that much on the waves, so that damage was almost all on the boss, and you can see it's pretty darn impressive for a champion. So obviously I'm still learning this champion. I think what I might do is go in and maybe switch her to lifesteal gear. Let me see what her multipliers are, because they've got to be really high, right? So her multiplier on her A1 is 3.7, A2 is 4, A3, they don't know. They don't know what the multiplier is on her A, but it's pretty high. Here, let me show you. We can do a quick campaign run. And, you know, I mean, she's obviously not, geez, why is it so laggy? She's not a campaign farmer in any way shape, or form, but yeah, she has no problem going through this content. And you can see she hits pretty hard. So her A3 wipes everyone, for sure. And again, I don't have her in the greatest gear at all. So we'll look at this, and again, my take on her is you can pick a lane, right? Make her tanky with great accuracy, and speed. She's gonna be a turn meter and debuffer, and then she'll also do some damage. I mean, she does damage. And then if you wanted to, make her full damage dealer, put her in a cruel set. Don't worry so much about her turn meter stuff. Although you do need to land the HP buffs to make her work. So you can see it. Yeah. I mean, what, 22 seconds? I mean, I guess if you got her early game and didn't have much else to do. So anyway, let me know what you think of this champion. If you have any other ideas, I did watch some of the other content creators do some stuff with her, and the solo stuff is cool. I don't think it's necessary. I may move her to lifesteal gear at some point, but right now I kind of like where she is. Obviously, I want to bolster up her HP to make her a little more rugged, but I want her fast. I want her landing those debuffs, and she's not actually. I mean, her accuracy is decent. 276. That's not wonderful, but yeah, 242 is about as slow as I'd want her to go. But yeah, so anyway, let me know what you think, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. And like and subscribe to the channel, please, please, please. I would appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.